when you acknowledge the superfluousness of society's rules, and you start to live on your own accord in accordance to the soul of existence and God, you start to see just how insignificant these rules that society has laid out for us really are. Now, I'm not saying that you should go break the law or anything like that, of course. But what I'm saying is that the societal views that we have, the societal concepts of how one ought to live, how one ought to be, it really doesn't make sense in the long term. It really doesn't. For most of these rules. Some of them, sure, because I think that there's something to be said for the civilization and being civilized in that civilization. But many people don't recognize that the archaic, that which is ancient, the people of these times were way more advanced than we'd like to give them credit for. You know, we really don't give enough credit to our ancestors for doing what they did and knowing what they know and knew at the time. And I feel the ancestors still. I still feel my ancestors. I still feel the love of these people I've never even really met, and yet they're like holding me and watching me and being with me, and I feel this, and it's almost as if the more I let go, which this is the case, but I'm saying this for the sake of helping you kind of walk through the journey with me. It's like the more I let go of myself, the more I see that God is going to reward me for breaking the rules that society's laid out, because the ancestors knew that breaking the rules is often a precursor to being in the gift of salvation. Now, why is that? Why is it the case that if you break the rules, you get rewarded? What's that all about, God? What's all that about? How is it the case, soul of existence, that I can break the rules and somehow be rewarded for those rule breakings? That's the exact opposite that society teaches me. Society teaches me that I have to be obedient. I have to be an obedient worker that goes to the 9 to 5, that watches TV and catches up with the game, on Sundays, and then has barbecues and parties and, and drinks and does this and that and all that fun stuff, right? Like I'm supposed to be doing that. That's what fun is. That's what the Matrix is telling me. You're telling me, soul of existence, that if I don't do that, if I enjoy reading a book, or I create an art piece, or I write a book, or I do other things, that I'm going to be rewarded? That seems like the opposite. It's like, well, it's because it is the opposite. But in that opposition, you find a sense of peace, you find a sense of clarity, you find a sense of, so you find a sense of, okay, this is what's going on now, and that's just the way that it is. There's nothing really to do in this world except to live the life that you want to live. What else are you going to do? Let's say that you had a dream that you could dream whatever you wanted. What would you dream about? What would you do? You see, we get caught up and stopped in our own tracks by not seeing things pan out the way that we would want to. And yet at the same time, when you're on the spiritual path, many of those things that didn't pan out the way that you wanted them to often was a realignment and an adjustment in your alignment process to your own timeline to get on a higher value timeline, and maybe a low cost timeline as well. So you have a low cost, high value timeline opposed to a high cost, low value timeline. And so you're holding on to this low value, high cost timeline for what? Because it's supposed to be that way? Because it's the way the design, like the society has designed it to be, because you were told, well, I have to go to school and I have to go to college and I have to get a this to get a that and do a this to do a that. I have to have a certificate, man. I have to have that certificate. I have to have that piece of paper that tells me that I'm qualified. I can't feel qualified in my soul. I can't do that. What a bunch of BS. What a bunch of lies we've been fed. Everything is a lie. Everything. I question it all the time. And yet the things that I know, the things that I know. And I'm open to not knowing what I don't know that I know. And I'm open to knowing something that I know about on a different wavelength, a different frequency, because there are frames of reference and data points in our lives that if we have different data points talking about something or looking at something or observing something, we're going to get different perspectives of that thing that are going to maybe give us a more well-rounded understanding. Because it is insanity to believe genuinely that your view is the only view. That is insanity. It is so rigid, and it makes your soul cramped. It makes your soul cramped and jam-packed instead of wide open with abundance like we're meant to be. You are so much more than that rigid, lacking, trying to force people to do everything all the time. I don't force anybody to do anything, but I tell them, like, hey, if you want to be aligned, this is the way to go. I'm not going to force you to do it, but if you want to be aligned, this is it. And I'm not saying that I'm Mr. Perfect over here. But what I'm saying is that I know what it's like to speak things into existence. I know what it's like to sing things into existence. I know what it's like to create my reality. Because if you think about this, right? If we can experience fictional narratives on a screen, for example, we can have an emotional response to a fictional narrative or in a book that is a fiction, right? Like the Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky, that's a fiction book, but the material and the content and the context is just superb. How is this the case? How is it the case that this is a portal? How is it the case that these words or the moving images on a screen that we see are having an emotional effect on us or an emotional impact? How is it the case that this is the case? Well, when you recognize that there's something more happening there, it's that you start to ask yourself, well, if I can have that kind of impact and be impacted by somebody else's world, what makes me so certain that this world is any different? This is where God starts to reward you for breaking the rules, because you do not need to follow the rules of society. It might as well be a fiction. I'm not saying that it is, but I'm saying that it might as well be a fiction. It might as well be. And everybody that you meet might as well be another version of you in another life. Or I'm not saying they are, but I'm saying they might as well be. Because you in a way, right, can relate to characters like in Lord of the Rings. You can relate to characters in Lord of the Rings. You can relate to these people. You can feel like they're a part of you and you're a part of them. How is this the case? Well, it's the same type of thing with the people around you. Like in your community, the men and women in your community are the men and women in your community. They're your men. They're your women. This is one of the reasons why I don't understand why people are so focused on and fixated on the war right now. The war in the Middle East. That's what they want you to be focused on, man. Like, that's what they want you to be focused on. They want you to be focused on everything but inhaling the sun and exhaling the moon, metaphorically speaking. That's what they want. They want you to focus on everything except what's actually happening. They want you to focus on the problems. Screw the problems. Screw them. Screw it. Like, seriously, screw all the problems. There are no problems. There are only problems because you think that there are problems. It is only when you can make peace with the internal war that you can see that there was never really a war to begin with. And God will reward you for breaking the rules of society, because society tells you, no, we've got to be like, this is the reality. Like, we've entered the hard times. And yeah, you know what? Collectively speaking, we absolutely have entered the hard times create strong men narrative. I genuinely think that. I don't think that we're at a place anymore where it's like, okay, hard times are creating what's the time loop that they have? Like, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create bad times. Yeah, we were in the weak men create bad times for the last like 10 to 20 years as far as I'm concerned. And now we're in the hard times. So we're going to see the wheat and the tares rise up. You know, we're going to see the differentiations between the people and the men specifically, because the women, they're not going to go to war. They're not going to be focused on that. No, they're not. But they're going to sacrifice men, these elites and all these Saturnists and all that. They're going to sacrifice men as a ritual, as a blood sacrifice for sure. But how much of it is even real? I don't know. But that's not the thing. Like, that again, it's not the point. The point is to focus on creating your own heavenliness, to be in your own domain. What else are you going to do? Do you genuinely think that they want you to know how powerful you are? Like, it reminds me of the meme where there's this lion, or a wolf rather. It is a wolf. Yeah, it's a wolf. This wolf is like, oh, when I'm elected, I'm going to stop eating the sheep. And the sheep all around are like, yay! That's like, not only our politics, that's our institutions, that's our universities, that's all of these things. All of them are like this. Everything's a lie, man. They're all liars. You know what's crazy? I had this experience today at the gym, and it wasn't like with me or necessarily. I just kind of was aware of it since it was happening around me. And this guy, he was running on the treadmill and he took off his shirt. And one of the guys that are like the sales managers there, he was working out. And he came over to the guy next to me that was running with his shirt off. And he was like, hey, we can't have you, taking your shirt off in here. Like, can you please put your shirt back on? And he's like, oh, okay, yeah. Meanwhile, there's literally a woman in front of us, like a few rows in front of us, right? Who is wearing one of those yoga pants that has like the V that's like narrowing down to her butt crack. And she's got like, she's barely got a bikini type of like sports bra on that barely covers her nipples. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, because half of the people that I go to, that go to this gym that I go to are pretty modest, and then the other half are kind of like that. And that's just kind of the way that it is now. I haven't been to a gym that's actually a decent gym that's not like that. So, I just avert my gaze, and I mean, I obviously notice it. Like, if people are gonna walk around like pretty much naked, I'm gonna notice. Like, everybody's gonna notice, right? Like, everybody's gonna notice. And it just was so funny to me how this guy, he literally came over to tell this guy to put on a shirt when the woman in front of us, like a few rows in front of us, right? She's practically nude. Oh, but everything's fine. It's like, screw the rules, bro. Screw the rules. Like, that is another example of how the society is set up to please pretty much everybody but the man. Women have an inherent instinct to protect children. Men have an inherent instinct to protect women and children. Where's the inherent instinct to protect other men? Well, it has to be created within men. There is no other option. Like, there's no other way. Like, screw these people's rules, man. Screw these people's rules. And the guy running with his shirt off, like, he wasn't hurting. He was in, like, the back row. Nobody could really see him except for this guy. There was hardly anybody there because it was super early in the morning. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, this is just another example of why society is so fucking cooked. And this is another example why not to break, like, not to break the rules and not to listen to these people. Why on earth would you listen to these types of people that are going to cater to pretty much anybody and everybody but, like, themselves? These people have everything. They seemingly, right? They seemingly have everything. And yet their souls are empty. Their souls are being devoured by themselves. They have no recollection of seeing what's actually going beyond. They have no ability to see their soul because it's covered and it's cramped and it's rigid. They have no way to see that they are an immortal soul having a human experience. There's no way for them to see this. And I guarantee you that this guy with running with his shirt off, like, he's probably going to get rewarded in some way, shape, or form. Like, I've never seen somebody break the rules like this and not get rewarded. Like, it's not even a big thing, right? It's not even that big of a deal. But it's important because this is going to show just the type of stupidity we're dealing with. This is going to show just how ridiculous society is. I mean, and then the whole certificate thing, right? Like, I don't believe in certificates. I've met therapists in the past and psychologists and, like, the PhD people. Like, have you ever met the PhD people who they literally believe they're smarter than everybody else just because they have a PhD, and yet they have lower IQs than some of the most amazing, happiest retards I know. It's insane. Like, the retards that I know that are genuinely happy with their life, I swear they have a higher IQ, at least an EQ. And I think EQ is more important than IQ anyway, but it's like the people with Down syndrome, right? Like, I'm not saying they're retarded, but what I'm saying is like, people with Down syndrome, have you ever met an unhappy person with Down syndrome? They've got to be touched by angels, man. They've got to be. I don't see a way that they're not. They're always happy. They're always having a good time. They're always kind of a little bit mischievous, but not like mischievous in a Loki kind of a way. They're just mischievous in just a kind of like silly way. They're like channeling their trickster archetype super well. And they're just chilling with life, man. They're just like, Down syndrome people have life figured out. I swear. I swear they do, man. I swear they do. It's really not that complicated. Life doesn't need to be so complex. You can just choose to, like, live a happy life and not have to worry about what society tells you. You can just have radical self-belief. Not even, I don't like calling it self-belief, but just radical self-persistence. Because if you persist with something for long enough, eventually, something's going to happen. You just have to keep going. Don't let the haters and the trolls, they're so cute, right? They're so funny. They're so funny to look at in the comments. Because like when I have a video, for example, when I have about like 70% of the people really liking it, and then 30% of the people like, oh, I fucking hate this guy. I hate this guy. That usually tells me that I'm on some kind of right track. And then when I have about like, because I don't really make videos where everybody's going to love this video. Like everybody's going to love, no, some people are going to have certain responses to it. They're just not going to be able to ignore it. That's what my videos are about, really. Like, I don't really care what your response is, because I know that for the people that are true, the people that are acting in a way that is truthfully real rather than a real the truth, they are fantastic. Like they understand what I'm saying. They get it. You know, they're pleasant to be around. They're open-minded. They're industrious usually. And they're not super extroverted. They're not super introverted. They're compassionate, but they're not weak. They're kind, but they're not nice. They're strong, yet they're vulnerable. I vibe with these types of people. I do not vibe with people that just want to hate. Like and want to like, oh, well, it says so here that I want, like, you know, they're like, it's like the what about guy. You know, this is like, oh, it's that guy. The what about, well, what about? Well, what about, well, what about? Oh, jeez, Louise, man. Listen to have some nuance to your conversation. Don't be so rigid. Don't be so rigid, man. Life is so much more than this rigidity that you're trying to like, oh, well, I know because like, have you ever noticed in narcissists, they always have to, and I'm not saying all haters are narcissists, but they're kind of narcissistic. Like all narcissists always have to assert their, oh, well, I know more than you. Well, why? Well, because I said so. Well, I know because I said so. Okay. All right, there. Go somewhere else then, because that's not the kind of conversation that we're going to have here. It's just not. We're going to have conversation that's going to be truthfully real rather than a fake real truth. And for those Regal Change old timers, you know exactly what I'm talking about here with the Regal Timeline Theory. Because in the Regal Timeline Theory, there are real truths, but they're not truthful. Where there are also truthful reals in the sense that everything that's a truth is going to be real one way or another. But not all reals are truthful. Because it's a delusion to have sometimes, and in that delusion it can seem real, but it's not true. Like the experience of the delusion is real, but it doesn't make it true, right? But anyways, guys, I hope that this message was useful and insightful for you. I was feeling very invigorated and inspired today. And so I hope that this message had some insights for you that made you think about things in a different way. I hope everybody stays blessed. I have 2 spots left for my Godlike Mastery offer for the month of April. So if you want to sign up for that, fill out an application in the link in the description box below. I also have the one-on-one sessions available, and then the Regal Academy. So I'm going to make a more thorough announcement tomorrow in the Semen Retention Sunday episode, but we're going to be doing a semen retention case study, and I'm going to announce, more about that tomorrow, but just to keep you guys in the loop and everything like that, that'll be something to look out for in the Semen Retention Sunday episode tomorrow. So with all that being said, peace. Until next time.